Hello, welcome to Point of View. Today, I want to talk about two former presidents, Lyndon Johnson and John Kennedy. Why one vice president planned the killing of the president of the Kennedy administration. IrishCentral publication on June 12, 2020 reported that Jackie Kennedy believed Lyndon B. Johnson was behind the 1963 assassination of her husband President John F. Kennedy. In the sensational tapes recorded by the First Lady months after the president's death on November 22, 1963, Kennedy revealed her belief that Johnson and a cabal of Texas tycoons orchestrated the murder of her husband by gunman Lee Harvey Oswald. Kennedy, who later became Jackie Onassis, claimed that the Dallas murder was part of a larger conspiracy to allow Johnson to become American president in his own right. The fact that JFK was seriously considering dropping Johnson from the ticket in favor of NC Governor Terry Sanford, should Kennedy run in 1964, has been cited as a possible motive for Johnson's complicity in the assassination. In 1968, Kennedy's personal secretary Evelyn Lincoln wrote in her book Kennedy and Johnson that President Kennedy had told her that Lyndon B. Johnson would be replaced as Vice President of the United States. That conversation took place on November 19, 1963, just 3 days before the assassination of President Kennedy, and was recorded that evening in her diary. We have more evidence coming from the interview by Larry King with Jesse Ventura, the former governor of Minnesota. Jesse Ventura is an American politician, political commentator, author, actor, and retired professional wrestler who served as mayor of Brooklyn Park, Minnesota from 1991 to 1995, and the 38th governor of Minnesota from 1999 to 2003.
You don't think Johnson was part of the conspiracy, do you?
Absolutely.
You do?
Yep. With the meeting that took place with Clint Murchison, Edgar Hoover, J. Edgar Hoover, his lifetime mistress, Madeline Brown, stated she was there when Johnson came out. He grabbed her hand and said, "After tomorrow, those Kennedy boys will never bother me again."
More evidence as Larry King speaks with former Nixon White House advisor and self-proclaimed GOP hitman, Roger Stone, about his new book The Man Who Killed Kennedy, as well as his career behind the scenes of dirty politics.
You feel about your country? About the system of government? If I believe what you believe, if I checked, and I'm anxious to read the book, I'd go out of my mind.
Well, I think that is the lesson.
It would drive me nuts.
I think that's the lesson here. In other words, no one is going to try Lyndon Johnson posthumously for murder. But I do think that if younger people read this book and they get the idea that the government doesn't always tell you the truth and that you should regard what the government tells you, whether it's about Benghazi or healthcare or anything else, with a certain level of skepticism, then I think I've achieved something. In other words, in 1963, as you know, Larry, with only 3 television networks, you have an information monopoly. After the Vietnam War, after the Watergate, I think for the first time, the American people begin to doubt whether the government always tells us the truth. That's why 70-some% of the people tell us they don't believe the Warren Commission, even today. Gallup, UPI poll, and others.
Isn't that because it's so hard to believe that one single loner with a rifle goes up and kills the president?
Yeah, it lacks credibility completely.
And then someone kills him.
Right, because they wanted
it's bad fiction.
Right, because they wanted a dead red, not a talking head. I mean, the fact that he is immediately murdered before he could go to trial and the American people could find out what really happened here makes this all the more disturbing. But in 1963, the American people just accept the government's version. And I think good men like Earl Warren go along with a cover-up because they think they're covering up an international conspiracy. Robert Kennedy sends an emissary to the Russians. He gives them a 3-part message. 1, we know this was a domestic conspiracy that killed my brother. 2, there's a reason why it happened in Dallas. That's Lyndon Johnson. And 3, the elevation of Johnson is a grievous problem for the peace process. So, you know, I don't even think, I think the Kennedys knew it was Johnson. Evelyn Lincoln, John Kennedy's secretary, tells us it's Johnson. E. Howard Hunt says it on his deathbed that it's Johnson. Jack Ruby, when he's being dragged down the hall, they say, "Jack, how could this happen? This never would have happened if Adlai Stevenson had been vice president," he says. "Jack, what do you mean? Look at the man at the top, the man who's in there now." He's referring to Lyndon Johnson.
Watch new episodes of Larry King.
More evidence from the book, LBJ, The Mastermind of the JFK Assassination, by Philip Nelson. This book aims to prove that Vice President Johnson played an active role in the assassination of President Kennedy, and that he began planning his takeover of the U.S. presidency, even before being named the vice presidential nominee in 1960. Lyndon B. Johnson's flawed personality and character traits, formed as a child, grew unchecked for the rest of his life, as he suffered severe bouts of manic depressive illness. He successfully hid this disorder from the public as he bartered, stole, and finessed his way through the corridors of power on Capitol Hill, though it's recorded that some of his aides knew of his struggle with bipolar disorder. After years of researching Johnson and the JFK assassination, Philip Nelson conclusively shows that LBJ had an active role in JFK's assassination, and he includes newly uncovered photographic evidence proving that Johnson knew when and where Kennedy's assassination would take place. Nelson's careful and meticulous research has led him to uncover secrets from one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in our country's history.
We have come to the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Let us know the videos you like by leaving your comments below. We have weekly videos, so be sure to hit the red subscribe button below. Bye.